To solve for x, we need to get rid of this root somehow. Remember, we normally get rid of roots by squaring them. So if this was squared, then the root would cancel. But how do we square this properly? Another thing we would not do, which some people try to do, is to square both sides this way, where here it would get a little bit messy. You would end up having to FOIL this, and who knows what you would end up with. So the first step to do is just to move the 3x to the other side. And then we'll square both sides. Remember, when squaring, if we have something like axy to the power of b, this exponent b would distribute to each of the things, where a could be some number. So we get a to the b, x to the b, y to the b. So let's show that first. So we have 2 squared and this root squared. And on the right side we have 3 squared and x squared. We'll write that first, showing the work. Here's the 2 squared times the root, which is also squared, equals 3 squared x squared. Here the root will cancel with the square, leaving us with 4 times, so this is still multiplied, so make sure you multiply it, 9x squared. Distribute the 4, so get 12x plus 12 equals 9x squared. I'll make a bit more room here. At this point, we should recognize we actually have a quadratic trinomial here, where when we rearrange it into standard form, we can hopefully factor it to solve. So here we could see is our x squared, x, and the last term c. Rearranging this into standard form, we'll have 0 equals 9x squared To factor this, remember the first thing that we always do when we're trying to factor something is common factor as much as we can out of the parentheses. So in 9 and 12, what's the common term? A 3. 3 is the greatest common factor. Next, we'll factor this trinomial. So remember, with factoring, we have to find two numbers that multiply to give us negative 12. We get negative 12 from 3 times negative 4, and that add to negative 4. So we might be able to see that this would be a combination of negative 6 and positive 2. So let's show the work. I'm going to show the factoring of this off to the side because it looks like I'm going to run out of room actually. So let's do this. So remember, factoring this, we common factor out of the first two terms and out of the last two terms. And this will give us our factored form when we put it back. And from this we can determine what x is by setting each of the two binomials equal to 0. And you may be able to see that from the first binomial, x equals -2/3, and x equals +2.